everyone shares their perspectives and everyone can get a different vibe, different artist, different sound, different commentary.
And it'll sneak
Yeah.
up on you, so it's like a sneak vibe.
Man.
I'm dead.
Corniest
I'm
joke.
dead.
But I will
Oh,
say
yeah.
sneak vibing. So I came up with the name sneak vibing because
She watching me like a is cable. I'll be on no label, but my clothes be all label. Only thing I'm chasing at this time is dollar signs. I would never waste your time, so why you wasting mine? She try to find a nigga like me, but that's hard to find. Remember those times you was all in my mind. Time heals all flash forward, now I'm locked in. I ain't Chris Brown, but I bet I get shit poppin'. It's the fourth quarter and I'm running out of options. I done passed some times off, you callin' niggas Stockton.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of a No Label Convo. Here, my boy Nell.
Yo.
Shouts out to everybody subscribing on YouTube as normal, liking on Instagram, sharing. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at No Label the Pod, Facebook No Label the Podcast. Nell, go ahead, get to the sponsors.
Yes, sir. Shout out to our sponsor. Shout out to Guap Coin,
Guap Coin.
cryptocurrency for the culture. You know what I'm saying? Monetize your influence. Get to it. Get to it. Some other good like black owned coins that's on the way up too. So be on the lookout. We gonna be shouting them out. Just our community gotta make sure we get it on this wave too. We can't just fill everybody else's pockets. And shoot, we see how viral it's going. And the lady we're sitting with now, if you in Buffalo and you don't know who we talking to right now, you better catch up. She been on the ground running the city right now. Biggest blog. We're sitting with Sneak Vibing.
sneak vibing. What's up, y'all?
How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm so happy to be here. Proud of what you guys are doing. I've been a fan of y'all podcast for a
Word.
minute.
Yeah,
Aw,
we've been
thank
getting
you.
we've been getting support for a long time. We
Yeah,
was
facts.
talking briefly earlier how we started I think we started maybe a little less than a year,
Mhm.
a little less than a year at the same time type shit.
Mm.
And it's been going.
Yeah.
She been showing love since we got started, and we've been showing love, and now we here.
Yeah, this
Now
is
we-
so dope.
Oh, yeah.
Crossover episode.
Big
Facts.
facts. So how did were you always just like in love with music and art?
Oh man, yeah. I've always loved music. I mean, to give a background, my dad is from the Bronx. My mom is from New Rochelle. He came up with like African Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash. My mom came up with like Heavy D. Like she used to be friends with him and his friends and go to shows and stuff.
Was your pops like
So-
shooting video for them and stuff?
Oh,
content?
my dad was a DJ.
Okay.
So he was a rising DJ. But then my mom and my dad met. They became Christians, and then my dad became a Christian hip hop DJ.
Oh.
So I grew up kind of listening to Christian hip hop, and that was an interesting. Like now being older, I'm like, man, my parents were kind of cool
Mm.
because they would like go to youth events and really get like young people involved, like go to church and stuff. But they made it like fun, made it cool, and made it relevant. So I've always loved music. And since I was young, my dad would be mixing in the basement. Like he always had a DJ set, turntables. When it was warm outside, he would be mixing. My parents used to do outreach. They were from New York, but when they had my sister, who was a year younger than me, they moved to Buffalo. So they would do outreach. My dad would be mixing, playing Christian hip hop. My mom and us would be giving away food to people.
Oh.
So music and ministry was always kind of like hand in hand.
Right.
Hip hop music and ministry. So I've always loved music, but I love the way music brings people together.
Big fact.
And I kind of want to like stay on like the positive side of like highlighting all of these talented artists. So me growing up, I kind of grew up in the suburbs too. So being
Sweet home, right?
yeah, Sweet Home. Yep. Shout out to Sweet Home people. So when I started at Buff State and went to college and saw all these amazing black artists, which I wasn't familiar with, I was obsessed.
Mm.
So that kind of sparked it, and then a couple years later is when I really pivoted sneak vibing.
So what did you study? You studied at Buff State?
Journalism. So I was a journalism
Okay.
major. I didn't graduate. I went there for 2.5, 3 years. But it was a great experience. It was a great introduction into like Buffalo music community.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Shit, man. I dropped out and I ended up going back, and I was always asking like, yo, what am I doing? Da, 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 da. I was like, I was gonna go for music initially, like
Mm.
production,
Yeah.
and then I was just like, I'm already doing it because I was already working with Indigo
Mm.
Productions. They do all the outside events and
You were
shit
gonna
here.
go to Cleveland State for that, and when you went to Fredonia.
I was gonna go to Fredonia because I dropped out. Took maybe 2-3 years off,
Mm.
and then I was like, if I'm doing anything, it's gonna be music.
Yeah.
And I switched my major last minute, and I was completely done. But then I met Morrow, and then we talked about music for like 5 hours. I ain't know him from a can of paint, and he was like, "Bro, you ain't done with music." And I was like, "I guess." And then it snowballed in what we got here.
So
So
you
who
were
was?
always on. I'm sorry.
No,
You
you
was
all right.
already. You was like kind of on the producer end. Like you like making music.
I was dipping and dabbling in everything. I made music. I went to performing arts for piano, play
Oh, you went to
saxophone,
performing
singing.
arts. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, so
But
that
then he went to hashtag after. He
culture
left after 8th grade.
terrible idea. But I met great people, so it was, you know what I
Yeah.
mean. So were you did your blog start at Buff State or did it transition?
Yes. So when I first started Sneak Vibing, I started Sneak Vibing in 2013, 2014. It was just a personal music blog for me. So part of the reason why I started Sneak Vibing because I was a fan of like the Breakfast Club,
Mm-hmm.
Hot 97, Ebro, Big Boy in the Morning in LA,
Angie.
like Angie Martinez.
Love Angie.
I would watch those and Angie repped, but I feel like a lot of times like even before Joe Budden had his podcast, he had what was it on Complex?
Everyday struggle.
Everyday
Mhm.
Struggle.
Him and academics.
I got a love-hate relationship with him, but we'll pass
Don't
on
we
from
all?
that. Women were always the mediators. Like
Mm.
Nadeska was kind of a mediator. Like I love Angela Yee, but Angela Yee was kind of mediator. I never seen women like taking charge of the conversation because I know they got their opinions too. And hip hop is a lot of women are fans of hip hop too. I feel like sometimes guys don't understand that. So I kind of created Sneak Vibing as just a personal blog to talk about music I like or music I feel like should get more exposure. And then, I kind of went through this journey and like I think 2017, I knew I wanted to pursue Sneak Vibing more. But 2018, I really put it in action, like late 2018. And then 2019, I was just outside.
Okay.
So the
Yeah.
being a writer is what started like the blog. Was there anything you wanted to do prior to writing, like involving music, maybe producing, making your own music?
Man, when I thought I was going to be a professional dancer. I legit thought I love music so much. I got into dancing. Shout out to Verve. Shout out to Shane Dupree. I used to go to Verve Dance Studio and be in the dance battles. Shout out to James Levi, aka TEIN. Shout out to Flywalker. Like all of them. I was obsessed with the dance community in Buffalo. So that was kind of an introduction too, as well. But I thought I was going to be a professional dancer. Something music related for sure,
Yeah.
kind of like you.
Facts.
But then in high school, like I was really into my English classes. I was really into reading. I used to read a lot. And I got into writing. And then when I went to Buff State, I got into writing more.
It's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know I flipped every stone with the music stuff.
Well, I
Singing.
originally went to college as a journalism major.
Oh, really?
I switched after my first semester.
Too
'Cause,
much
like,
work.
So you know how when you go into college, like freshman, you're normally taking like CCC courses.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, I was taking a lot of like major courses, like for the major.
Oh.
And then so I had like a 300 level course. It was like the main professor.
Oh, it was overwhelming, probably.
Not even. It's just that his style of teaching and like his personality, the way he made like
Off-putting.
writing seem like it was gonna be. It was like I definitely don't want to do this.
Mm.
And then I ended up going to sport management, and now I'm doing a podcast and a videographer.
It be like
Well-rounded.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the road always got turns in it. Shit.
Yeah.
It,
So true.
that's a
It's
big
all about
fact.
rebranding.
Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
once you you left Buff State, did you know you wanted to do the blog like full time, or you just
Man, like the blog was a passion, but I couldn't see that this could be like a reality yet. Like I couldn't see that it could be a reality. Um, I feel like I went through a stage of like I wasn't sure of myself, like sure that I could do it. So, um, funny enough, I was dating this person and he was like, just keep like doing internships and stuff. Like he actually pushed me. I was like, that was the person I needed to push me to keep going because I don't think I would have kept going. He was like, do internships, like do whatever you can, apply to this, apply to that. And so I interned at the Public. And after that, I interned at WNY Muslims, writing a lot. And then what really hit me was I went to a Buffalo bloggers meeting, and I I was kind of unsure. Like the vibe I was getting was a little different, but then there was this woman, white woman with a blonde, like bald head, like short cut, and she was like, "We covered badass woman," and her whole vibe was just so different. I was like, "Oh, I got to talk to her." And her name is Christy Mangle. Shout out to Christy. Shout out to Queen City. She runs Queen City Webzine, an all woman ran blog and webzine covering. They were doing their thing too. They were covering like women owned restaurants, businesses, all in Buffalo, all women writers, covering music, everything. And so I got with her. She allowed me to just go. So I did my first series, Fiery Femces, and I covered Love the Genius, Desiree Key, Shay Noor, and AI, The Anomaly. And when I did that and saw the reception and how they allowed me to just do what I wanted, I was like, that gave me the boost of confidence to like, oh wait, I can do this.
Yeah, what year? Around?
This had to be 2018, sometime 2018.
Okay.
So yeah, 2018 was like the shift in like being confident and like I can do this. But Queen City really let me do what I wanted on their blog, and that I shout out to them because I don't think if I never did that, I don't think I would be where I am now.
Word.
So shout out to them for sure.
Oh yeah, they gave you the blueprint.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fire. That's
Yeah.
fire. So you talked about that's in 2018. We were talking and you said 2019 you really hit the ground running. You was
Yeah.
outside a lot. That's because when I came back to the town, like that's what I wanted to do. I was just like I gotta get outside because
Yeah.
I haven't been here for so long. I gotta da da da.
Yeah.
And what all events were like you popping out at? Like let's say it was rocking in 19.
Shout out to, oh my gosh, Ryan, what's his last name? He basically was having those photographer session parties at the Lafayette.
Mm-hmm.
You guys remember that? I think he moved to
Vaguely.
New York City now. I had covered him for Queen City, and then I had got like formed a connection with him, and that's how I was introduced to the I forgot her name, but the woman that runs Buffalo Bloggers. I got introduced to her. I got introduced to a couple other creatives, and I started going there, and I was connecting with everybody. And then you have to remember, like, I already had some connections from the dance community, so I would see like certain dancers that I haven't seen in a minute, and they would connect me with people. And so I went. I think he had like 3 really big events. I went to them, and I just connected with mad people. And after that, I was like, oh, I got to be out here. So I started following people on Instagram. I would just randomly follow anybody that was from Buffalo that was creative, that was doing something. I would follow and just kind of stay tuned on what they was posting, any events. I would be there.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was jealous in 2019 because I was in Africa. I was doing a music.
Oh,
Yeah,
motherland.
I was doing a music internship out there.
Wow.
But I really, really wanted to be in the city, like and be in Buffalo, because so much was going on. Like everybody was blowing up.
Yeah.
So I'm like, man. And then I'm like, okay, shit. Next summer I'm gonna be able to. Know what I mean?
Yeah.
But Corona and shit like that.
Oh man.
It'd be like that. But did when COVID popped off, did it slow you down or did it help it grow more?
That was a transition. So many changes were happening like in my personal life that it kind of gave me the time to really like go hard with sneak vibing, because I feel like I was posting stuff and sharing stuff but not as consistently as I am now.
Mm.
And I feel like I kind of got that um got a certain method down pat during COVID. So it was a transition that I probably needed, and I was blessed enough to not have such an unfortunate experience, except for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
Some people were still outside, but it was still not a lot of events were happening.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I always looked at COVID as a blessing in disguise. So it's like, if
Yeah.
you
It was
was
like a
working,
gift and a curse.
Yeah.
it allowed you to sharpen your sword. So you step outside, it's like, okay, we gonna see who was working and who wasn't.
Right.
Yeah, and it's just shit. And we see where sneak vibing is now. So it's like shit. You definitely
Just
used your
putting in the
time
work,
wisely.
yeah.
Thank you. Shout out to 2019 though. I have to say, I'm so lucky and blessed because 2019, it seemed like all the artists were like popping off. Every artist was putting out projects, and and I'm just getting in the game. So I feel like I was kind of just in a lucky situation.
Mm.
But shout out to everyone that came before me because I know there were so many people that were doing kind of like what I was doing. Shout out to Neff. Like, she's been in the
Shout out to
scene.
Nev.
I call her my OG because she be putting me on, teaching me stuff. So shout out to Herb. Shout out to so many other people. You guys, like, there's so many people that's already been connected. So I feel like I'm just kind of lucky and blessed in a way that I really got into it 2019 when everybody happened and, like, be going in.
Facts.
So yeah.
So being a black woman in the writing space
Oof.
and hip hop, like
Yeah.
how is your experience? Like, is it over welcoming? Is it people standoffish or like try to not take you as serious?
I feel like early on, but I'm kind of a realist. So I know early on, I will say this too, like, one of the things I feel like even what I'm doing now kind of, I even inspire myself because one of the reasons I took a long time really doing sneak vibing how I wanted it to, because I was like, I don't know how people will receive me, you know, and I kind of had like that. I'm just being honest. I had like an identity crisis, and when I was a teenager, because I kind of grew up in the suburbs, I wasn't sure how people was gonna take me, how I talk, how I look, all of that. And I was blessed enough that like when you do it and you have the confidence to do it, people will take you seriously. I feel like there's still certain things that sometimes people don't take you as seriously because obviously you're a woman in a male dominated space. But I've just learned just keep going. Like
Mm.
people have doubted me, but I'm like, okay, I just realized, and I don't even take it personally. I'm like, I just have to let you know that I'm serious about this, so I just keep going.
You can see it through the content too. Like you can see your
Yeah.
passion and how you're passionate about like hip hop and the music, like your
Yeah.
brand, all of that.
You
So I
also
think
have to
off
think,
rip, people will
yeah.
take you serious. So at least I did. Like when I seen it, when we seen it, it was like she really cares. Like she's really passionate about it.
I appreciate that. Also, another thing too, like you know how rest in peace to Virgil, but
Facts.
there was a quote that Virgil said that he's trying to he's doing what his 17-year-old self always wanted to do or
Oh
something
yeah,
like that.
all the art he creates is to inspire his 17-year-old. So
Yeah. And that's kind of the same thing with me because when I was young, growing up in a predominantly white space, I didn't see a lot of black artists. So when I went to Buff State and saw how like there were so many young black people from everywhere
mm-hmm.
that was doing what they wanted, making their own clothes, making music, like I was crazy inspired. And then realizing that there was a lot of other black creators in Buffalo that I didn't know, I'm like, man, I wish I would have known about this when I was younger. Cause I feel like if I was younger and knew about this, I would have been going crazy. So that sneak vibing is also kind of satisfying, like my 17-year-old self wanting to connect with other amazing, talented individuals.
Word.
So yeah,
Yeah, they'll definitely see it because your light is shining, and like I always look at people. I judge it by how much energy, how much of their energy are they putting into their work,
mm,
and it's like I'm like I would see you posting every day, like your work ethic is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just like
man.
yeah,
I'm not
anybody
even at
from
the level I want to be. That's what when people say that. I'm like, I'm not even where I want to be, and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm like serious. Like I still feel like there's certain times where I need to do better. But I know part of it is my passion, so it just naturally keeps me going. But yeah, man, it's all about the progression. All about the progression.
facts, steps. You gotta respect the steps.
Yeah.
So, what's some of your favorite events that you've attended?
Oh man, this is hard because then I
Per-
might not mention one, and then it'll come to me later.
Personal
personal
favorites.
favorites. Like you went there not even to do a blog, but it was just like, yo, I went here and it just so happened to be dope as fuck.
Because when he asked it, I'm sure it's a couple that popped into your mind off rip.
So I will say one of the first events that I went to that I like fell in love and I loved it. Shout out to Buffalo. Shout out to Lindsay. He had an all women's show. That's where I met DJ Little Gab. That's where I connected with Lindsay Nix. That's where I met Love the Genius. That was a huge moment, like shift. Because I connected with people. I saw Vonzella Joy perform.
What year was this? How long ago?
What was this? Had to be maybe 2019.
Mhm.
It might have been late 2018, 2019
So
probably.
like right before COVID then?
Yeah. And there was an amazing show. I think I met Hefe Boss up there too. I met mad people there. And it was like a packed show. It was super dope. Yeah, that got to be one of my favorites because that's like when I really started to network with a lot of people. I mean, just a lot of talented people. Um, ooh, what's the place downtown that they have like some rock shows there, sometimes hip hop shows too.
Mohawk,
No, not Mohawk.
Milky's.
No, not Milky's.
Venue?
No,
It's a small spot or a big spot? Chip on.
it's um the pizza place is right there. It's like in the cut.
Mess
Wait, is it Mohawk Place? It might be Mohawk Place.
could be
It's like in the cut, like across the street from like a parking.
parking lot.
Yeah.
You thinking of Mess Lounge?
No, it's not Mess Lounge. I think it might be Mohawk Place. I get myself confused. But I saw Freak the Mighty, Kane Wave, who else? Spacebound.
Yeah, them three right there. They
Yo.
gonna bring the energy.
That show was
As soon as you said Freak the Mighty and
insane.
Kane Wave off.
Their
right?
energy, there was a couple other artists, but I mean, crazy show. I've never been to a show with like so much energy. The crowd was going crazy.
I think that was
Water
at
was
Mohawk
being
Place.
thrown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it was Mohawk Place. I think that might have been early 2020, maybe just before the pandemic hit.
Yeah,
That show was insane.
I'm still mad. Spacebound had a show, and I'm gonna say Freak the Mighty was there. They had it was I don't think it was like a garage or something. But
I
they
was
had
there.
Man,
Yeah.
I was so mad. I missed that joint. I saw the videos. I was
Mhm.
like, why was it like? I'm still a little salty about that joint. I'm still
Yo, that was different too. I was behind. People was mosh pit, and I was behind the gate. I was like, nah, I can't.
You
Yeah.
want to try
But,
my mosh pit? You trying to
No, no. The way they was knocking
Get a
people
sneaky
over.
jab.
The way they was knocking people over. Nah. But that was actually a dope show too. That would be up there. Shout out to James Wynn when he had Win Day. That was at Sugar City, what used to be Sugar City. That's where I saw Anthony 1999. I got really into him as an
Shout out to
artist.
him.
He was one of my favorite artists for a minute too.
Oh.
Who else? I think Freak the Mighty performed there too. AP, all of them. I got put on to a lot of artists too at Win Day. So shout out to James Wynn. Yeah. There's quite a few, but I would say those four is up there for sure.
You know one thing that like I feel like they sleep on. It's like that sound like the Spacebounds, Freak the Mighties, Wakefield, Free Music Party.
Wakefield, yeah, free music. Oh my god.
Like them, like it's like hip hop, but it's mixed with like almost like rock alternative
genre
look.
bending, like
Yeah,
genre
very
bending
genre-
hip hop music.
Their shit, like their shit is crazy.
Crazy.
It's crazy.
How'd you like the Buffalo Ironworks show? I seen you at the Brother Tom and
Brother
Young
Tom.
World.
Yeah, that show was super dope. I got to like go backstage and talk to him. I got to meet Flex Baby. I've been a fan of him too. I got to meet him. Man, that show was super dope. Young World and Brother Tom Sosa is in my top 5 right now. Both of them are like just so talented. They're super versatile, great spirits. They just got music that I really vibe to. Like
Great performers. Like, they know how to control the stage.
great
interact
performers.
with the crowd.
Yeah,
like
man.
early on.
Yeah, like, and they're just both really talented individuals. I really admire what they do.
And shout out to
Yeah.
Bizzle too. He performed as well.
Yeah,
out to
Bizzle on
Biz.
the beat goes crazy. All of them. I don't know their names.
Shit.
The one that plays the piano.
Ron Bronner, Winton.
The A Team, I think, is
Yeah,
they go
yeah,
by,
they
right?
go by the A Team. Bulgaria on the beats was there too. I got to meet him. Shout out to him. His beats are crazy.
Facts.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Buffalo, man. We got so much. We got so much.
so much talent.
Man,
So much.
I. Do you think us not having as big of a market slows us up, or do you think it's more of a, or just like an exposure thing? Like people just got to hit the ground with the social media stuff harder, or you think we should travel more type of thing?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think we are a smaller market. So I think that definitely plays a part in it. I think there's like amazing artists that I would love to connect with, but their social media presence is not as prevalent.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll drop like a song and I'll be like, oh man, I can't wait. and then they go MIA,
Mm-hmm.
So, the artists have their thing, their whole creative process. So I definitely respect that.
But
But yeah, I think part of it is the market, and I think more if we like unify the different sounds, because I think there's a still large. I'm starting to realize there's a very large part of Buffalo that is not aware of how diverse the hip hop music here is.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my biggest goals with Sneak Vibing, if you notice, I share all different type of artists. I'm not limited to one sound, and that's like my whole goal with Sneak Vibing is to share the landscape, like the hip hop landscape. There's so many different sounds, and I feel like if there was more crossover and more a little more, I feel like we're getting to the point where everyone's unifying and working together, which is great. But I feel like if we continue doing that, we will take off.
Sky's the limit.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
on the outside looking in, everybody just think it's Griselda, the boom bap, the grimy
Yeah,
sound, but it's
yeah.
so much more.
You
than
definitely
that.
got them other.
So much more,
Because I always say like Buffalo is so segregated as a city.
Mm-hmm.
man.
Like if you born on the east side, like you really not going South Buffalo. There's no reason why you going to North Buffalo. There's really no reason to do that.
Yeah,
And it's like our sounds, we forget like there's different sounds in different parts of the city,
yeah,
and it's like, bro, if we can create a space where everybody can eat and everybody can hear it, bro, it's only a matter of time. Like,
only a matter of time. Yeah,
yeah, man, I love what you do because it's like we've all kind of like known that for
yeah,
a while if you live in Buffalo, but like you being able to highlight it and put that into your brand is like that shit. I think that's what makes
yeah.
makes us great. That's what makes you great. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So definitely appreciate you doing that. Putting
For
the
sure.
city on.
I think a huge part of I've always been a very big on communication, like making things clear, like, and so I feel like sometimes it's hard for people. One of the things I get is that people will be like, "I love your blog because you explain like what's going on and what's happening and how we can keep up with these people." And I feel like sometimes artists like don't think about that. Like they'll post a picture of something like on the way. But no one knows unless like you're really
Yeah,
tapped
you already
in,
tapped in with the
then you
artist.
know. But like if you want people to like know what you're doing, you have to communicate. This is where I was. This was at so and so and so and so. I know in hip hop people like I gotta stay low key
you gotta
because
stay low key,
mysterious.
yeah.
ops be out here. So I understand that. But to a certain degree, you got to let people know what's going on, where you're going to be performing, how could people connect with you. So, like, I think one of the biggest things is, like, this is what's happening. Here's the caption. We were at so-and-so, at so-and-so. And I think it's just being, like, straightforward. People can be like, oh, okay, this venue, this place. I can follow this artist here, tag the person. So I think that's a big part of just with the writing and just communication and music together.
And it's something that's simple, but it is important.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
bridges that for sure. Yeah.
yeah.
So what's one way that you like keep up with all the events and like make sure you keep those lines of communication open so like you're not missing anything and you make hitting all your spots, hitting all your traps?
Man, I always feel like I'm missing something. I feel like I can never make it to everything. The cool thing now is that a lot of artists know what I'm doing, or artists will tell other artists what I'm doing, or their friends what I'm doing. So a lot of times people will DM me, "Hey, we're having this event here. Love for you to come through," which really helps. But also I just keep up. I follow like a lot. I follow a lot of artists in Buffalo. So like they'll post something, I'll save it. Try to put it in my schedule or try to be there. So a lot of times it's between that, following everybody and keeping up to date. And then also people always hit me up, DMing me, texting me, let me know, hey, this is happening.
That's dope. So is it just when you started Sneaker Diamond, was it just you, and how has the team grown since your inception?
Man, it's amazing to see the progression. It was just me, kind of like doing my thing. I got a shout out to my dad,
Shout out to Pops.
DJ Slack on the beat. He helped me a lot. For a minute, my sister was helping me too. So shout out to her. Shout out to Adaya. Shout out to all of like videographers that has helped me. Shout out to Omri. Shout out to Hubert. Shout out to Cam, Eula Banks. She's doing her thing with. I think she's making a movie right now. Shout out to
That's
her. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone. But shout out to all the camera people that have helped me, the video people that have helped me. So now we have grown. I believe we have 3 riders. So shout out to Mark Griffin. He's
Shout out to
hustling,
Mark.
man. That man is a machine. Shout out to Mark. Shout out to Felicia. She works in the mental health field. So she's a music fanatic too.
She the one with
But,
Mental Health Mondays.
Yeah, she does Mental Health Mondays. So shout out to everyone that has been interacting with Mental Health Mondays. We have a new writer named Shayla. I believe she went to school here. She's back in New York City, but she's a music fanatic too. So she's working with us. And shout out to Eula Banks, Cam Banks. She's, I believe, officially now our in-house camera person. So, and shout out to Omri too. He's always helping. Oh, shout out to Brett Mike Media. Man, how could I forget him?
Young
He's
Brett.
helped me with all the rap series. So we've done 3 so far. We did 1 in summer, 1 in Christmas, and we just did the Black History one. Man, he's a beast. He's super inspirational. So shout out to him too. He's not necessarily on the team, but he's like honorary. He's like a family
Yeah.
member now.
Yeah.
That's hard.
So
What
yeah.
exactly is your rap series?
So a goal I want to do this year. So I did Sneak Vibe in summer, if any of you guys saw that. So I think I had like Brother Tom Sos, Vlad Millie, and many others too. Genesis, a lot of dope lyricists from Buffalo. And we filmed in like, I think all Black owned or local businesses in Buffalo. We filmed them rapping a cappella. And that was like something I've been wanting to do, but I finally did it. And we got great reception from that this summer 2020. And so then we did it again, Christmas, and we had like Basero Omar, we had Franks, we had Jillian Hainsworth, the poet laureate, and many other people too, kind of either rap or sing or share poetry, during Christmas time. And then we just did the Black History one, and that one was to kind of honor a lot of lyricists that's been in the game that are a little older but still doing their thing. Son of Tony, El Biz, Pretty Bully, like all of them, AI. So we just did that. And so I want to keep that going to kind of highlight, these amazing artists, lyricists, poets in Buffalo.
So
Yeah.
So when you were getting people on your team, were people reaching out to you, or were you like looking for people to add to the squad?
It's so crazy because it really happened naturally. I was kind of a fan of Mark. I kind of saw what he was doing, and then he reached out, and we connected and started working. Felicia reached out to me early, like, she's actually an A1 fan, because when I first like started Sneak Vibing, I didn't know who she was. I never met her. I don't know how she came across Sneak Vibing. She emailed me and was like, "Hey, I see what you're doing. I would love to be a part of it." And I'm like, "Oh, this is like crazy." So, and then I think a year later, I ended up reaching back out to her and I was like, "Hey, I would love to have you on the team." Because I had to kind of get right, know what I was doing first before, I'm managing other people. So shout out to Felicia because she was A1 for sure. And then Shayla, I met when there was like a Black women's picnic or something. Was that 2020?
Not
2021? I think it was 2020, summer of 2020. I went there, met a lot of amazing Black women creatives and just amazing Black women in Buffalo. But I connected with Shayla, and we would stay in touch and occasionally chat and talk. And I had reached out to her because I saw her write a piece about, I think, when George Floyd happened, Black Lives Matter. She wrote a piece that I really loved. And so I reached out to her and was like, "Hey, I would love to have you on the team." And then I think a couple months down the line, she reached back out to me and we connected and worked that out. And then Cam, how did I meet Cam? Cam was super dope. I think we bumped into each other a lot at events. So we became familiar with each other, and then we started chatting and talking. And she's helped and supported. So yeah, it's really, everyone that's on the team is organic. But right now, our team is Felicia, Mark, Eula, and Shayla. I'm excited.
So
Yeah.
the Sneak Vibing family. I remember when I seen you at Buffalo, you had your whole family out there. I thought that shit was so dope. Like just seeing
Really?
a Black
Thank
family,
you.
just like
Yeah, you was telling me.
and just like gathering around like somebody in their family who's like on their mission, like doing their passion, like that shit like spoke to me. I was like, yo, that's hard as fuck.
Thank
Like,
you,
she going
man.
fire.
Everyone thought Hubert was our brother. I know he's dark skinned like us. He's not. We're not related, but everybody thinks he's our brother. But he's like family. He actually went to school with my sister, and man, I used to finesse when I didn't have a laptop. My sister was going to Kanisha's. I was at Kanisha's every day doing posts for Sneak Vibing.
Come on.
I didn't even have a laptop yet, and I was like, "Give me your password." And it's funny because I went there one day, and I think she was like, "Hey, I have this friend that's really into music and stuff. You should connect with him." And Hubert came down and talked to me, and we talked for like an hour and a half. And I was like, "Wow, yo, this dude is dope. He's just super talented." He's another creative out of Buffalo. He's low key, but when that time comes, he's gonna blow.
That's
He's super
fire.
talented in everything he does.
So,
Yeah.
so man. So with just how hip hop is just growing as fast as it is, we kind of like our generation, we didn't really experience like the blog era, like when
Yeah, yeah.
everything was like going crazy. Like it was like around the mixtape days type shit.
What do you mean our generation?
Oh, my fault, you younger than me.
No, I'm saying, I feel like we did. Like Wiz and all those people, Currency, that was the blog era, right? Wale, J.
Yeah.
Cole, they came up in the blog era.
That's fact. But I don't remember like reading blogs. Like,
I don't remember really reading
You know what I
music
mean?
blogs either.
yeah.
I did.
Word?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was on
Because
that
that's
early.
what I was doing before, like you said, you were into the Breakfast Club, Hot 97.
Yeah.
I was the same way. Like before getting into the YouTube, watching the interviews, I would be into like the blogs and the magazines, all that shit.
Yeah, I wasn't reading. I occasionally would read magazines, but I wasn't reading the blogs. But I was watching like the YouTube when they got prevalent on YouTube. That's when I got really tapped in.
Copy.
Sure.
Yeah, because I feel like right now it's just like for what you doing, like it can. I don't maybe see it on my algorithms for social media, but like I don't know other too many blogs that like are doing it like you're doing it. Cause like I follow like one of my favorites is like DJ Booth, and they write amazing like articles, and they have a lot of great content of artists that you don't necessarily hear, and it's like they're very really good, but I don't see too much like content as far as like social media and just being
They're Buffalo
outside.
based?
Nah,
no,
I'm
they're
not.
bigger?
No, I'm not
Okay.
even sure if they're Buffalo based, but like
Two Dope Boys is a good one too back then. You ever heard of them?
yeah.
You heard Two
I
Dope
feel like
Boys?
I follow them. They dropped like a good list of like maybe like 20 tracks every week. Like,
Yeah,
what's
they
the-
started off as a blog too though.
Okay, word. Yeah, but like I definitely like how you deliver it. Like it's dope, and that's what drew me to it, and I know that's what draws other people in.
Thank you.
Did it take you a long time to get to like branding of it, like intact?
So this is what I realized. I think I've always really liked branding because I've always been like, I've always liked to look at things like that are visually pleasing. I think even dancing kind of contributes to that too. Because dancing, you're literally making a picture with your body of the music, and you're doing it in a pleasing way. So I realized like I'm very keen on knowing what looks visually nice and what people will be enticed by. I will say though, I'm a huge fan of Complex because they're the one that do the freshman class, or is it XXL?
XXL is the freshman class, but Complex, yeah, they had a little
But
bit of
I'm
everything.
obsessed with Complex content. I love the way they put their stuff together.
Word.
And then I know they like bought out Pigeons and Planes. I was really into Pigeons and Planes for a minute too, their blog and stuff. But I would watch them. XXL too, I would watch. But I feel like I would read a lot of like Complex and Pigeons and Plane. And I love the vibe they had. And I was like, I want to do that, but like in my style.
Yeah.
So I feel like I just kind of observed how you get content out there. But I think
Right.
I think there's an innate piece that I just naturally like to have things that look visually pleasing.
So it took me a while. Like I didn't like Complex for a long time. Like Complex,
Really?
yeah, to me Complex was like the corny, like I thought it was corny. Like it felt like it was a bunch of white people looking at rap culture or hip hop culture and just like, man, this is cool. And versus like really like being a part of it, like let's say contributing, like whether that's talking about people we don't necessarily find in undiscovered artists or just more of a street element. Like that's
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what I'm like drawn to. But like, I think when they started making
The shows.
yeah, started
Like
making
Everyday
like Everyday
Struggle,
Struggle and stuff.
Yeah.
the
That's
sneaker
when
show.
that's when I was like, oh, okay, this I like this.
Yeah.
Like, and it pulled me in. Like, I fuck with Complex.
I don't know if she runs XXL or just the freshman class part. But I think she did an interview on Breakfast Club is a white woman. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I did not expect that.
Mm-hmm.
She was there for a long time though. She was
Yeah,
there
she
when,
was doing it for a minute.
I think when Elliot, Elliot Wilson. I think
Yeah.
when he was there, she was working there as well still. So she like.
Oh,
worked
he was
up the
part of
ranks.
XXL?
Wasn't Elliot at XXL? Or was it The Source?
I'm
He's
Probably
at one
one
of
of
those. But
those.
either way, whichever one he was at, she was there with her. So she's been in it for a while.
Yeah, she's been in it for a minute.
Yeah.
So that, and someone actually recently told me that, a lot of these hip hop platforms, people that's writing and working are predominantly white.
Mhm.
So that's another thing. I'm realizing that sneak vibing it's not just a personal thing anymore. This is a movement, and it's a black woman ran hip hop blog, and I think this is probably a good timing to have a woman ran hip hop blog because there's a lot of women that listen to hip hop and that are fans of hip hop.
Well, you being so in touch with everything that's going on in the city, I know you have to use social media a lot.
Yeah,
You ever get like that social media fatigue?
all the time. I want to take a social media break so bad, to be honest, but like right now I'm such on the grind that I'm like I can't. I have to stay in tune with everything that's going on because I don't want to miss my moment, So, but it's really a balance. So I will say if you guys notice, like my stories, I do a little later. Like I was doing stories 7 a.m. every day for a minute, and then I stopped that, and I'm like I do around 1. I think I was like checking like algorithms and stuff, and they said the best times is between 1 and 3. So I do it around 1. Try to do around 12:30, 1 o'clock now. But yeah, so I have certain segments of my day that I'm like, I'm not going to be on social media, but I'm still on social media way more than I want to be.
Gotcha. Yeah, gotta have that do not disturb.
Yeah, I need to use that more.
I use that shit all the time.
I
Yeah.
know. I would call him 2-3 times in a row. Like, yeah, one of these gonna get through. But yeah, because we definitely dealt with that too. Just like trying to keep up with posting every day, making sure you just have something, you putting out something.
Yeah,
And it's definitely draining. It's like we
Yeah.
both had to try to like, yo, I need a week off, bro. Like, just
Yeah.
handle it. I'm like, all right, we just try to double dutch it. You know what I mean? He take the reins, I take the reins.
So you don't have anybody else that helps you run like the actual Instagram page or social media pages?
not right now. I'm hoping to get this one person. We'll see how it goes. And that's a very important job. I feel like I'm still a little protective of that because,
Yeah, you gotta be
once you give
particular.
someone the rights to have access to your social media, they have access to a lot of pertinent information. Because a lot of times I'll talk to artists over DMs and stuff. So that's something. I think that I will need that down the line. But man, I'm kind of overprotective
hold
of
that, hold
that.
that one close.
Yeah.
That's probably what's going to allow you to take that break that you need at some point.
Yeah.
And be able to keep the ball
Yeah.
rolling.
I think you can schedule posts now, so I'm gonna try to get into that too, instead of waiting and then posting like 5 minutes before I need to post.
Yeah, I know
So,
they got a
yeah.
couple websites where you could like schedule them for like a month.
Yeah, or schedule them all on the same social media.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Actually synchronized. Yeah. Mm.
So who are you? Who are someone? What do you want to say?
I was gonna ask about if you seen the Kanye doc.
Oh yeah, we get that later. Who are some of your favorite artists from Buffalo though? Like who do you listen to? Like I know you got to discover the music, post the new music, da da da. But personally, like who do you play on the daily?
I told I'm Young World he has a oh my gosh, I cannot remember the title of the song for anything. Oh my gosh, what is the title? I can't think of it, but I'm Young World has a song that I used to play every day.
Is it the one he performed?
He
'Cause
performed
shouted you
it.
out.
Oh, were you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, he shouted me out when he literally was looking at me and we were singing the chorus together.
I was sitting behind you.
Oh my gosh, I cannot remember the title of the song for nothing, but I used to listen to that song every day because the words he was speaking in that song, I think the song is talking about like having a hustler mentality. You don't necessarily have to be the streets to have like a hustler mentality. You could be from anywhere, but if you're grinding, and I think that's one of like identity issues. Shout out to all my awkward black kids out there because I was definitely one of them. I was definitely one of them. And then growing up in a suburban space, that I felt like I wasn't taken seriously, but it was like, oh, she got it good, and I was in church too. I was always in church, so I was like a church kid too. So, um, I feel like it's hard for people to take me seriously, but being a hustler, being on a grind is a mentality. It doesn't no matter where you're from. Wherever you're from, you're gonna have to prove yourself in some way. So the struggle is different, but everyone kind of has their own struggle. So that song like really touched me, and I think he has somewhat of kind of like the same background. So I think that's why I connect with him. Um, Also, I'm Young World and Brother Tom. So a lot of their music they have like certain faith centered music, and I don't want to say I'm a religious person, but I definitely have faith in people, faith in humans. That most people try to do good, but circumstances. So I love that aspect of them being like like humanizing, what the struggle is, humanizing what they go through in their experiences, and then also having including God and like faith in their music. I think that's why I really like them because they're a perfect balance of that. Um, who else? I'm really starting to become a fan of Pretty Bully. I don't know if you guys know her. She
Not
runs
familiar.
with I think she's part of like L Biz's team or crew. I'm really starting to like her. Um, love love AI. Again, AI, she's a Christian rapper. She's doing her thing right now. Love her. Funny fact, my dad used to interview her and used to go to her ciphers. So I feel like I'm kind of doing what my dad used to do. My dad had a platform where he was covering Christian hip hop in Buffalo for a long time.
Mm.
So I'm kind of basically doing the same thing. But
What was the
he
name of
always
his
makes a
platform?
joke like I went the secular side, huh?
What was the name of his platform?
Gospel Party. He still runs it too. He actually just got in with WBNY at Buffalo State.
Okay.
So he's actually doing his radio show right now. He's on the radio every Saturday at 1 p.m. And he also does like a live Sundays at 7 called The Gospel Party. So if you want to tap in with Christian hip hop in Buffalo, definitely tap in with him. Sure.
So,
And that's how like I kind of approach my stuff too. Is like I like artists who have that deeper side,
Yeah.
whether
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
religious spirituality type thing.
Yeah.
And it's like when I sit down with people, I kind of want to see if they have that, because
Yeah.
when I listen to artists, a lot of the times like we see these stuff that happen in the media all the time, like
Mm-hmm.
R. Kelly or whoever else. You know what I'm saying? And it's like we don't see that side. We don't see the hidden side. This hide. We always see the artist. We don't
Yeah.
see the
Yeah.
person. So
Yeah.
it's like when I interview people, it's like I want to know who the person is who makes the music.
That's how I am.
Yeah, and it's like that's how I found some of my favorite artists. Like it was like he made a joke the other day. Like I play Earl Sweatshirt.
Mm.
He said I always play Earl Sweatshirt. I didn't like Earl Sweatshirt when I first heard him for years, but then
Mm.
like I listened to one of his interviews and he was just like a normal person. And then I heard him in his music, and I'm like, "Oh shit, no, this is really him. Like he's not."
There's new context there.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
like him. I started rocking with Action Bronson because of that. Shoot, who else? Like Joey Badass and like all of that.
Oh
Like,
my
Paul was with
gosh.
Nipsey.
that's how I got. I like
Yeah.
the artist. Sometimes I don't even listen to their music, but it's like this person. I'm going to support them, and I want them
Yeah.
to win.
I was on another podcast and I talked about how Joey Badass like expanded my taste, my music taste. Cause I wasn't into like 90s golden, golden age hip hop. I wasn't into it. But when I started listening to Pro Era and Joey Bad, I got into it. Once I listened to Joey Bad, Wu Tang made sense to me. Before it didn't. But after that I'm like, I get
He
it.
bridged that for you.
I get it. Yeah.
Right.
So I feel like sometimes you kind of need like that introductory, you know.
Mhm.
And shout out to Spotlight Series. Y'all need to come because that's kind of like what Neff is doing with Spotlight Series. Like we interview the person so you kind of get context, but then they perform so you can connect with them. It's an intimate setting.
That's
So if
right.
you didn't get your tickets, Gaines, this month. I can't remember the date. What's the date? what's March 19th. March 19th, Spotlight series. So you definitely want to be there because it's a new experience. It's really connecting with one artist and you getting to know them. So I'm excited about that.
Shout out to my boy Gaines.
Facts.
Yeah.
Native still bumping Native Son. That joint in my car.
Oh man. Oh, how could I forget Gaines? Yeah, Native Son, one of the best projects out of Buffalo. Yeah.
So, did you check out the Kanye doc?
I watched the first episode by myself. I watched the second episode with my dad. Yes.
Oh, yeah,
I am so conflicted. I think like a lot of people, I am so conflicted with Kanye. Like what he represents? He represents like y'all know Dred Scott, the Dred Scott case where he
Yeah.
like escaped from slavery and came to the North, but he did like a bunch of he like finessed his way to the North or something. I don't remember exactly. That's what Kanye is like. Kanye, for a lot of people, or even like well, I don't want to say that. That might be too extreme, but Kanye is kind of like the one that got away. Like he's the one that got away with, and I think for Black people, he's kind of like this hero because there's not a lot of Black men that can go with everything he went through and like still make it and still like have so much control and power. And I think for our history, has kind of like limited like how our upward mobility, socioeconomically, all of that. And Kanye was like able to get through all of that and still have control. And now it's almost like I have the power, so I'm gonna do whatever I want with it. And I think part of that we're attracted to, then the other part of that is like, oh, he's dangerous. So it's like this very weird, conflicted feeling I think a lot of people have with him. It's like I love the fact that he's a Black man and can control like what he does artistically and creatively and has so much influence. But then the other part is that there's still so many toxic qualities. It's like, oh my God.
I think with him is like what he read for our culture. He's like his first like he had Jesus Walks playing in the club.
Yeah,
in an era of gangster rap, like Jay-Z, 50, all of them, and it's like it was so like, yo, if he can do this, he can kind of do anything.
Yeah.
And people champion it, and he's gonna speak his mind no matter what.
Yeah.
And what I loved about the doc is the fact that he was able to like, this is him. Like it's been him.
Yeah.
This isn't like a new thing or he adapted some new stuff. Some things got like enhanced. Like your ego got way bigger. But it's also a spot where it's like, but he was yelling at the radio host before his album was coming out. You know what I'm saying? Like, let me finish. I'm up here. Like, it's like, yo, oh shit. Like, no, this is really him.
Yeah, he's always been like that.
I think an important part, because did you see part 3? Because you only named the first.
I didn't see part 3 yet.
So it was an important part that he said he told Coodie, his cameraman, that like now he like once he got in it, I think it was might have been after College Dropout or late registration, that he was now like playing a character and he wasn't necessarily like being him at all times, like in the media. So I think that's where like he kind of got lost, or people got lost for like connecting with him, because everybody connected with him in the beginning, College Dropout, late registration. Yeah. Then it was like when the antics or saying a lot of the stuff, that's when people disconnected. But that necessarily wasn't Kanye. That was the character he was playing as Kanye. That's
an interesting thing, because what made Kanye great is that as a Black man, he showed vulnerability. Like, All Falls Down is probably one of my favorite songs. Through the Wire, like, all of his songs was about him being vulnerable and him being transparent about his life and experience. Even in, I think, the first episode, a lot of it is talking about how rappers kind of have this certain facade. But I was thinking about this. I think about this all the time. It is awkward to be a rapper. Like, the life of a rapper is mad awkward, but nobody talks about that.
They gotta make it look cool.
They gotta make it look cool. It's mad awkward. I remember going to this music video. Yo, shout out to the person if they know who this is. I'm not gonna say, but I went to this music video shooting, and everyone's just kind of standing around. And then as soon as the camera turns on and the music turns on, everybody's getting lit. There was this one girl like that took her clothes off, and I'm like, this is so awkward. I was like, first of all, like, I felt so awkward, And I know other people felt awkward. It was so awkward. Then music stops and the camera turns off, and
Everybody stops.
everybody's quiet again. I'm like, what?
Turn around, look, this is
the life of a rapper. But that's what made Kanye great, and I think that's why a lot of people disconnected with him, because now he's become those rappers that he was kind of not necessarily condemning, but saying like, we need to show a fuller, the fuller experience or identity of what a rapper is. So I think that's the conflict a lot of people have.
No, that's valid. That I see. I try to not look at him as a rapper, like, because like how he came in the game producing,
Mm-hmm.
it was so much like there's so much you're not supposed to produce and rap, and it's like
It's
people
like, why not?
it was
Yeah,
almost like
yeah.
they said I couldn't do this, they said I couldn't do this, and I'm doing all these things. What else do they say I can't do? Oh, shit, let me
Mhm.
put on this red hat. Let me see what happens.
Mm.
Can I not do this? And I feel like a lot of the times we see his social media rants and stuff now, and they say what did he say? He's like, oh, they saying I'm crazy because I was crying about um, over abortion, and he
Mhm.
was just talking about he's like, but if I was crying over somebody saying a nigga getting shot, oh no, that's okay. And it's
Mm.
just very I don't think he's like saying like everything that he does is like I don't say right, but it's like he
Mm.
pushes. I feel like I love the fact he pushes the line where
Yeah,
it's
he
like
pushes boundaries.
it's
Yeah.
like this is all part of the human experience of everything he's doing. So it's
Yeah.
like who's to say what's okay and what's not? Who's to
Right.
say that I can't go through a very public divorce and not drop an album that goes number one?
Mm.
It's a very I'm not letting anybody control my narrative.
Right. Right.
And so, wait, you having a blog and stuff, how do you feel like about your impact about controlling the narrative of Buffalo?
Man, I really just try to um share the diversity. One of the things if you follow my personal page, one of the things I have is hip hop corniest fan. Um, there was a friend of mine that used to call me corny all the time, and no matter what I did. And I'm just naturally fascinated by things. I get interested in things. I think I'm naturally very curious, and that's also what keeps me going and being curious about artists and stuff. And like, I used to hate when people would call me corny, and people called me corny all the time. So I kind of embraced and said, you know what? I'm hip hop's corniest fan. I'm a fan. Some people might think I'm cheesy or corny or not fit into a certain role.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like for example, but look at Nardwar right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's like,
Lit.
okay. He's like the ultimate, like
Vancouver's
weird.
finest.
Yeah. So I think there's space for us to be who we are, and that's my narrative, and just understand this is my perspective of how I'm looking at hip hop. And as my team grows and stuff, that's why I love that I'm not the only person writing, because I might miss something or might not see something that someone else sees.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another huge thing. That's why everyone shares their perspectives, and everyone can get a different vibe, different artist, different sound, different commentary.
And it'll sneak up
Yeah.
on you, so it's like a sneak vibe.
Man.
I'm dead.
Corniest
I'm
joke.
dead.
But I will
Oh,
say
yeah.
sneak vibing. So I came up with the name sneak vibing because I was going to Buff State, and this is when everybody started using the word vibe. Like it's a vibe, it's a vibe. And then people started using sneak dissing a lot in songs.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like sneak vibing, because I was the type of person that I would listen to music, I would listen to different things, but I noticed I would always like be onto something before everybody was onto it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would listen to something and then it would take off a month or a couple months later. So that's why I named it sneak vibing. And just being a woman but kind of being tapped in. Sometimes people don't think that you're tapped in. I remember I went to Jim's Steakout one time. I listen to all different kind of music. I went to Jim's Steakout one time, and there was this white guy, like nerdy white guy, he was at the counter, and he was playing Watsky. I don't know if if you guys know, probably not Watsky. So he's this like white rapper that I think has like a mental illness, but he raps insane, like Eminem level type of rap. And so when he came out, I was really into one of his projects. He was playing Watsky. So I'm like, I ordered my food, but then I was like, yo, I love the music you're playing. I love Watsky. He was like, he dropped everything. He was like, I was not expecting you to know who Watsky was. And I was like, snake vibing. Like, you never know. You might look at me and think I'm not tapped in, but I am. So I think that's where the name came from.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Dope. Yeah, because I be laughing at myself sometimes because it's like I was never a big talker like before like getting in front of the cameras and microphone, but it was just like I realized that I had something to offer, but it was if people look at me, you see me walking down the street, they wouldn't be like, oh, he's a podcaster, or oh,
Yeah.
he's a math educator,
Yeah.
or oh, like it's something that it could easily sneak up on people. But I feel like that's one key that like controlling our narrative that
Yeah.
allows us to be able to show these sides. Like hip hop, black culture itself is like it's an onion. Like it's so many layers to it. Like
Man,
you can really
that's a perfect metaphor.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's, man, I'm just happy. I'm happy like people that look like us are able to say what the culture is and
Right.
how we interact with it. No, it's not just gritty boom bap. It's not just cool fashion stuff. We have many different facets. And I
Yeah.
think that's the importance of media, like media and controlling our narrative, so we can say who we are and not be defined by
So true.
CNN.
Buffalo is a magical place. Like the more I learn about Buffalo, the more I realize, and just like even with my spirituality and stuff, Buffalo has the potential to be such a great place. But I think sometimes um, people try to capitalize on things.
Mm.
Like I recently found out that Buffalo has one of the biggest like freshwater resources, like
Mm-hmm.
the culture here, the history here, how we were in an industrial city. We were one of the biggest like
You remember like sixth biggest city in the U.S.
yeah,
for a while?
like all these amazing facts, all the amazing talented people that came from Buffalo
Mhm.
that went on and done amazing. I mean, look at Griselda. No one was really tapped in to like boom bap gritty hip hop music. And look at what Griselda revived. There is like a rejuvenation spirit that hip hop has, or I mean that Buffalo has, and I feel like you said, controlling the narrative. I feel like once it's in the rightful hands of the rightful people, will take off. But we just need to like form that unity and work together, and we'll take off. Buffalo is a very interesting place. Like
Hell yeah.
the
We-
potential here is crazy.
I always look at it like shit. We got the same potential as important as Washington D.C. is to America.
Yeah.
But like we literally, our city is designed
Yeah.
just like Washington D.C.
Wow.
Like so, like we have that same potential to do it
Yeah.
in how we do it here.
Right.
It can be magnified to the world in that same light. Is how see affects the world.
Yeah. Man,
So
this is divine timing for sure. I feel
big
like
facts.
what Griselda's doing is just an introduction. It's the
Yep.
beginning of a
Mhm.
movement. Like,
Yeah, because
I'm
They
really
kicked the
excited.
door in.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it now. I'm seeing it just like just a lot of the artists that we already mentioned. Like when I was in Africa and I seen how much the scene wasn't popping. Like it's 6 million people in the city. I was in Cape Town,
Mm.
but the local scene for rap and stuff wasn't the best. But I just so
Wow.
happened to go to one. I go to one party, and I meet some of the biggest artists out of Cape Town. They doing stuff for Earth Gang and all this type of stuff.
Wow.
Like it's so much that can be done, and like we don't.
Yeah.
I feel like because a lot of people don't necessarily travel to other countries,
Yeah.
we don't see how dope black culture and like hip hop is, and
Man.
how much people look at it in awe. Like, like if some of these artists, like, if that's one of my goals too, is to like take artists to different countries, like doing tours and shit like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, we can do that, and show you. I can show you how dope the world thinks you are.
Yeah.
That shit would change the world. Like people wouldn't want to. I think of the big ass mural we got down to. It's like keep Buffalo a secret.
Yeah.
Like man, it ain't gonna be able to.
Yeah,
Like, I don't
it's
know
not-
who everybody is.
It's not gonna be able to for sure. Man. I love Buffalo. Amazing.
Have you been able to travel in other places?
That is a goal for this year. Like I was even talking to Neff. Like I went to Chicago this past summer, and I was only there for 2 days, and I made friends. Just 2 days there, and I'm like, I'm capable of doing this. Like, you know how you like your potential, and it almost scares you a little bit. Like, wow, like because you know the responsibility that comes with that. I was like, if I was to set up shop in Chicago,
Crazy.
I would go crazy. So that's a place I've been checking out and looking at. New York, obviously.
What part of New York?
I don't know. I have a lot of family that live in the Bronx. Might not be the safest place, but I have family there, so I'm sure they'll,
Make sure you're good.
yeah, make sure I'm good. Bronx, Brooklyn area. Texas. I have family in Houston, Texas.
Houston's a good
Someone
place.
just texted me and was like, yo, when you ready to come to Atlanta, let me know. So I was like, copy. But you know what's crazy? I don't even travel a lot, but this 2021, I went on family vacation to Mexico. I went to Chicago. I end up visiting my cousins I never met in Texas, Houston, Texas. They was like, we didn't even get to we never really met each other. We talked over social media. As soon as I met them, I felt like, yo, this is a vibe. So, they were, matter of fact, I was only there for like, not even a day, like 8 hours. And then my other cousin who I thought lived in Indiana, she's like, I live in Houston, Texas too. Like,
Come on.
let me know. Like, I couldn't visit her, but that lets me know I got people everywhere. So if I really wanted to travel, I can do it. So that's something I want to do for sure. I definitely want to start going to the festivals. Rolling Loud, South by
Fest.
Southwest.
Me and Kimon hitting Dreamville Fest this month.
Oh, really?
End of
Really?
the month.
Yeah, so that's something I want to do for sure. I feel like if I start going to festivals and networking with the right people, sneak vibing is really going to take off. I see the potential now, so I'm really devoted to really, taking it to where it needs to be, for sure.
We definitely looking forward to it. I know you would kill in another city doing exactly what you're doing now.
Yeah, I'm
We
super
gonna uplift
excited.
everybody.
For sure. I'm proud of you guys too, man. This is
Thank you.
dope. Having
Appreciate
these
it.
like conversations with artists, man. There's so many that I've watched that I've loved. And you guys, the amazing part, and that's why we need black commentators, black journalists, black personalities, black men that are personalities, because you guys are able to connect with certain artists that might not connect. Like I really loved, I think I watched Shot's interview I really liked. I think I saw even Shay Nor's interview was really good.
Oh, yeah.
Like early, I remember I was watching a lot of you guys' interviews.
She threw us on the album. We was
Yeah.
I was at 5 a.m. I was like,
What track was it? Bless the Food.
Bless the
Yeah, go
Food.
check
That
that
was
out. Bless the
it.
Food.
Yeah, it's
Super
real.
dope.
I
Our
was
last
saying this before I
project.
quit it.
Yeah,
I realized
super
it's getting
dope.
real
No, we
because
appreciate it
So
though.
yeah,
I-
Tom So's interview was really good too.
That was
Yeah,
one of my
So then I saw that one, I was like, watch. Watch right now.
That is
Yeah,
definitely
so-
one of my
Our favorites.
favorites.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so
You know who I really want to do? Who I think it will be an incredible interview?
who?
I really want Conway.
Oh man,
That's gonna happen.
It wouldn't be because I know he hates like interviews and podcasts, but I'm like, bro, if I get to sit down with Conway, bro, he gonna be like, it's gonna be a side people never like
Yeah,
understood, and it's like it's in the music, but people don't hear the certain.
yeah.
keys.
And we have like connections. Like Shots is his brother. We went to high school with
Yeah.
Shots. Had Jay Skis on. Like I have family that's part of his team. That's with him every day.
Yeah.
So like it'll be a comfortable vibe.
Yeah, for
It's
sure.
gonna happen though.
Conway is hilarious too.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys realize that? Like he's so like when you first see him, he's kind of intimidating, but then like I think it was Jay Ski's birthday party that he was there, and he was like hilarious. Like
Was
he's
it?
a jokester.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm thinking of.
He's like an asshole, but in a good way.
Yeah,
Definitely the comedian.
I like
Yeah.
that shit.
We was at hip hop karaoke. They started playing his music. He's like, I don't even want to listen to my music right now. I'm like, what artist do you know? He's so like honest. What artist do you know that would say that?
That's facts.
Turn my music off. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
the only
so-
person I ever heard say that was like was Joe Button.
Mm-hmm.
Like people try to play him in the club. He's like, oh God, please don't.
Turn Pump It Up off.
Oh yeah, man.
What would you say is like? I want to know What is like your least favorite part about being a blogger and a media personality and everything? I know it's your passion. I know you love it, but it has to be some things that you're not the most fond of.
I will say this: I'm actually a very, like you kind of were saying earlier, I'm actually a very shy person, very introverted. Like even I was talking to, I was trying to think my grandmother, some of like the content I did for SNEAKVIBING. She's like, "You never talk like that. Like you're so open." And but music is my passion, so I get like really excited about it. Um, but yeah, there's sometimes when I'll go to events and I'll like take a deep breath before I enter the venue or cause I'm like not even, it's a lot of social energy. And you know, with introverts, once our energy is done, we're no good. So that's why I'm like,
Big
I
fact.
try to be low key. Like I'll be at a place, connect with everyone, have that energy. And then soon as I'm out there, I go home because like I need to be like in that quiet space, you know, and kind of recharge. So that's one thing. Um, and then you deal with a lot of personalities. You know, you deal with a lot of different personalities, and I've learned to be more patient and be more empathetic too. Because I think sometimes, and that's the great thing about connecting with a lot of people, is that you learn that your way and your perspective is not the only way. People live their lives differently. You know, you have to be slow to judge them. You know, I think early on I would judge a lot, and I'm like, who am I to judge? Like someone, you know, everyone has their issues, but everyone just personality. Sometimes personalities don't mix, not because you don't like each other or something, but just personalities don't mix. So it's learning to embrace all different type of personalities, all different type of people, and it's a challenge sometimes because sometimes it's like, but then you realize, you know, you're able to connect. It's an opportunity to connect with someone that you probably never would. So
Yeah. I, I don't, I'm trying to think of when I made my shift. It was like because I was very introverted for a long time, but I was
mm.
like growing up, I wanted to be a gangster, so I was like, I'm gonna be the silent dude in the back, and like when it's action time, you know what I mean? Just jump in, just go ham.
Mm.
But it's like once I started learning words,
Mm-hmm.
and like expanding my vocabulary and shit, I was able to like, oh shit, I'm kind of good at this talking thing. So
Mm.
it I still have my moments where I'm like super introverted, and
I
it's
still
Mm.
am definitely. Like I'm similar to you to where for the most part I'm introverted, but until I'm like around something or talking about something I'm passionate about.
Yeah,
Like around
yeah.
my friends, they see a different side. I'm talking about music or like basketball, and
Mm.
like I'm more passionate and give a different side. But
Yeah,
just for the most part, it's just laid back, chilling.
yeah. Same way.
it's funny because it's like more and more we hear that in our culture. More I don't maybe because I was a kid, but it's like
Mm.
more and more in like our culture you hear like oh more I'm more introverted like people like or it could shit it just could be me like meeting the people I meet because it's like a lot of
I feel
people are
like people,
just
because
leaning towards
people
introverted.
now have the, like with social media, people have the access to like vocabulary. Like that's why
Mm-hmm.
certain words become like toxic. No one's saying toxic 5 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
but then someone put a word to like a certain feeling or emotion, and everyone started using it. So I feel like it's very interesting how um, words like expand how someone
Mm-hmm.
can talk and speak. But I really, you can ask my family. I've been an introvert
Yeah,
for
because man, shit, I know
man.
introverts. Like I know homies that's like they don't leave the house. Like, and
Yeah,
it's like,
that's how I am. Like even I will be excited for an event, but it's just the fact that I have to leave the house. It's like I gotta push myself.
Like the process of actually going there and
nah,
getting
Yes, I
there.
have to
facts.
sit there and think about it. Okay, what will I get out of this if I go to this? And then like sometimes I'll be like, no, I'm not gonna go. And then when the actual event starts, I'm like, I was stupid. Why didn't
Mm-hmm.
I?
Mm-hmm.
You know. So I go through this like weird thing.
I think another thing is I just like it's kind of weird, but I like people watching too.
I
I
love
like
people
observing
watching.
and
Same.
like
I love
analyzing
people
stuff.
watching.
I love that.
Same.
So that's another reason why I'll just like play the background.
Like that's to me that's like a date. Like, oh, you want to go watch people with me? Okay, let's
Yes.
go. like,
And there's a
eh.
certain type of, I think there's a certain type of introverts people don't talk about. Like I don't want to talk to people, but I like being around people.
Mm.
like I come from a big family, so I'm used to so much going on. So I like to sit and watch just people talk
Yeah.
and do stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't want to necessarily have energy to talk to someone.
Yeah, I don't have to engage in it.
Yeah, I just want to sit and watch other people do stuff.
I think part of like social media too, people see so much more and like exposed to like you don't feel like you're missing out as much
Yeah.
too. So it's like shit, I can afford to be inside. I didn't feel like I'm not missing nothing. Oh
Yeah.
I'll be inside.
Very true.
I don't blame them. So what's some things you got coming up that you would love the people to know about?
Oh man. Well, first, March 18th. March 19th, Spotlight series with Gaines, Betty Croc Entertainment, hosted by Neff at Toonworks. Shout out to Omri. 7 to 9 p.m. I will be interviewing Gaines, and then right after that, he'll be performing. It's going to be a super intimate setting. It's like MTV Unplugged vibes.
Mhm.
So we've already done one with Lindsay. We've already done with Kane Wave. Also, Lindsay Nix was one of my favorite shows too. Spotlight series, Lindsay Nix. That show was amazing, beautiful.
Shout out to Lindsay.
Yeah. So that's coming up. Super big show with UB Arts Collaboratory. I am so excited about this. Ladies First. In conjunction with UB Arts Collaboratory, it's going to be at Torn Space Theater, which I believe is on Filmer. I don't have the exact address. 7 to 9 p.m. April 23rd. We changed the date. April 23rd.
What was the previous date?
It was April 30th. But I think they took that down now. So it's April 23rd because we don't want to conflict. I think there's another big event on April 30th, so we don't want to conflict with that. April 23rd, it's going to be, I believe, DJ Little Gab, DJ Bree, AI The Anomaly, Stacy, and we're going to have another featured artist. They'll all be performing. We're going to have a super exclusive mini doc to go with it that I'm super excited about. This is going to be one for the books for sure. I'm really excited about this. We have another dope project I'm going to be doing with Neff. I'm super excited about. Just going to leave y'all with that. We're still working on it, but I'm super excited about that. Yeah, man. Those are the three big things, but there's so many things happening that I'm just really excited for this year for sure. Sneak Vibing will definitely be on an upward, progression right now. So I'm excited about it.
That's what I wanted to ask you about. How was it like meeting Grandmaster Flash at the other art collab joint?
Yo, so that touched my heart in a different way because my dad grew up going to like the courtyard in Bronx and watching Grandmaster Flash play. That's the reason my dad started DJing. So when I told my dad, and by that time I had taught a class at UB Arts for UB Arts Collaboratory, and I was, connected with the director and some of the other professors, and I was able to bring my dad with me and him to meet Grandmaster Flash and connect with Grandmaster Flash.
Fire.
So that made me happy because I was able to have my dad like connect with his like hero when he was like 17, 18. So that made me super happy.
Yeah, that's dope.
But also just meeting him and seeing how down to earth he was and how like he was so connected with the time. Sometimes you feel like, I think sometimes we assume that like older hip hop artists are like hip hop purists and they're not open to the new stuff. Like we assume that, but he's so tapped in with everything that's going on now. Man, his master class, he was talking about sampling and talking about all these amazing samples. Man, he was talking about how his mother, I think his mother was a seamstress. I didn't realize he came up with the actual way of scratching, and that he was testing different fabrics to see how the like the disc, or what is it called, the
vinyl.
The vinyl can be able to play and scratch, and how when he first started doing that, clubs didn't want him to be there. He was scratching the vinyls.
Yeah.
The whole point of the vinyls was to take care of it. So he was looked down upon for a long time before people caught on, and it just inspired me like, people are not going to be on your wave at first. You have to keep going. What he was doing is totally like, who thinks to say, I'm going to take all the fabrics my mother uses and figure out which one is the best fabric for me to scratch better on a vinyl.
On a perfectly good vinyl.
On a perfectly good vinyl when everybody is trying to protect their vinyls, setting them up. So, I mean, like, it just blew my mind how you have to be so inquisitive. You have to be you have to be daring. You have to push the envelope. So, yeah, man.
Yeah.
Grandmaster Flash, that just gave me another battery in my back for
That's
sure.
right. What most people don't know is like this tattoo has a connection to Grandmaster Flash. Like,
Really?
we're definitely Grandmaster Flash inspired.
That looks like an African hieroglyphic. Is that what it is?
We talk about it off
Okay.
camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. But where can the people find your blog?
So you can find Sneak Vibin blog on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. All of them is at Sneak Vibin, SNEAKVIBING blog. You can find, we have the Buffalo Code playlist, so hashtag Buffalo Code. You can find that on Apple and Spotify if you search, or if you go to Sneak Vibin on our Instagram, and I believe on Twitter too. You can go to our link tree, and all the playlists are listed there for you. So yeah, just search. If you search Google Sneak Vibin, I've done it many times. Everything comes up. The blog comes up. All of that.
Fire.
So yeah. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate
Anytime.
it. This was
Appreciate
great.
you coming.
Hell
We
yeah.
gotta make this more of a regular thing too.
For sure, for
Yeah,
sure.
that'd
I
be
gotta interview y'all because I want to know more about like y'all story. That might be
dope.
something we do for Sneak Vibin.
That'd be
very
cool.
interesting.
Yeah.
Shit, No Label the Pod. We out.
Peace.
She watching me like a